In the first few months of Japan's 1937 invasion, China's Kuomintang government army lost over 1 million soldiers. It also lost large amounts of territory. Local communist forces fought a guerrilla war from behind enemy lines and caused major damage to Japanese supply routes. CCTV's Han Peng traveled to southern Shandong province to speak with a veteran of the conflict.
A wedding for war heroes, delayed for over 7 decades. 90-year-old Xiang Bingxin met his wife in the flames of the Second World War. He was a 15-year-old boy who lost his home due to the indiscriminate shelling of his village by Japanese troops. He secretly joined the Communist Party, who continued resistance in the vast occupied regions. Even his wife wasn't aware of what he was up to until the day her husband came home with his uniform soaked in blood.
When I fought the war, the party ordered us not to let anyone know about the presence of the communist forces in the village before we launched surprise attacks on the Japanese. In one of the bloodiest battles, nearly all the comrades were killed due to intensive shelling by Japan. I survived, and when I returned home, she had to use scissors to cut the blood-soaked clothes from my skin.
75 years ago, when nearly all the northern China fell, the Communist Party forces launched guerrilla warfares in many mountainous villages like this, and that was when Xiang Bingxin joined the army. They protected civilians and sabotaged Japanese supply lines, the details of which the 90-year-old couple still remember clearly.
We were poorly armed and often fell short of supplies and ammunition. But our enemy was well-trained Japanese forces who had tanks, machine guns, and artilleries. We had to work out smart ways of fighting them, by making use of our familiarity of the local environment and by surprising the Japanese troops.
After each battle, the guerrillas would move their bases quickly. Several times, even Xiang's wife couldn't locate him.
Once he didn't return for several months, so I went to find him. One friend said he was killed, another said he was captured and tortured by the Japanese. When I couldn't find him, all I could do was to pray that if he died, he would die without much pain.
Unable to find the guerrillas, the Japanese troops carried out a brutal policy in the region they occupied. They called it kill all, loot all, and burn all, creating no man's lands by razing entire towns and villages and leaving no one alive. But instead of stamping out resistance, the brutality achieved the opposite, spurring more Chinese like Xiang Bingxin to join the guerrillas and protect their homes. By 1944, communist strongholds were spreading all over the occupied areas. Japan didn't just fail to exploit the economic potential of these vast regions, but had to divert a huge amount of troops to secure their supply lines. On the 70th anniversary of the end of the Second World War, Xiang's children arranged a wedding for their parents to celebrate a marriage that has stood the test of time. Xiang says the wedding is also being held in remembrance of the tens of millions of other families who perished in one of the darkest chapters of human history. Han Peng, CCTV, Shandong Province.